What's up, my squabians? Today we are playing a brand new game called Rotisserie, where we take 3 quarterbacks and compare them to Dak Prescott. Who would we take for one season? Right ahead with me today, Mr. Calvin Domingo himself, Steezy A. Smith in the building.
Yes, sir. Come on.
Great to have you. Let's get right into it right now. Leave in the comment section below, who would you rather have? Dak Prescott versus Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott versus Aaron Rodgers, and Dak Prescott versus Tom Brady. Let's start with Dak versus Tom Brady. I would love to say Dak Prescott is my answer. I'm lying. I wouldn't. Of course, Tom Brady, I'm taking the GOAT. I don't care if it's for 1 year right now. I know Tom Brady has declined in his game. Dak Prescott is a guy for me that has a certain ceiling that Tom Brady has never known. Tom Brady is the ultimate winner in the NFL, whereas Dak Prescott has won only a single playoff game in his career. Dak Prescott got franchise tagged. Would they ever franchise tag Tom Brady? I don't think so. I don't think you can when you're winning as many Super Bowls as Tom Brady has won. I think Tom Brady is a guy that revolutionizes a locker room, rallies the troops, if you will, gets his guys to believe in him, and he helps create and make his teammates better. Whereas Dak, I don't know, the jury's still out on if he can make his teammates better or if it's really his teammates are making him better. Calvin, what do you think, Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott?
This one's not very hard. I'm taking Tom Brady. I'm with you here. With Tom Brady last season, people were talking about he had a down year. You look at the receivers he had around him. He had the slowest core wide receivers around him. He had Julian Edelman, who he is an elite receiver in football, but he led the league in drops with 11 last season. And so he just didn't have any weapons around him whatsoever. He didn't have a running game, and yet he still threw for over 4,000 yards. He still threw it for a pretty good touchdown interception ratio. And then you look at this season in Tampa Bay, he has all these weapons surrounding him. Yeah, Bruce Arians looking to cater the playbook to Tom Brady. And we understand that he's turning 43 years old this coming August. But as you said, he's a GOAT. And he's done nothing but win his entire career. Dak Prescott put up video game-like numbers last season, but it didn't produce wins. And you're talking about the worst division of football. You can't tell me you're going to throw for 5,000 yards and finish 0-6 against teams with a winning record. Those two don't go together. And usually when you look at wins and losses, quarterbacks tend to either get the credit when teams win or they get the blame when teams lose. And so because Dallas failed to win with all that talent that they had last season, despite Dak Prescott producing, that's very telling. And so it's very easy. I'm going with Tom Brady.
Okay. Yeah, especially over the past couple years, they fired Jason Garrett. They blamed essentially the losing seasons, the 8-8 years, on Jason Garrett. If Dak Prescott doesn't step it up this year with Mike McCarthy, eventually the finger's going to get pointed at him. Let's go to you, Calvin. You were spazzing right there. I want to stay with you. Dak Prescott versus Aaron Rodgers. Who do you want for one season starting tomorrow?
Ooh, so we talked about this on the show earlier today. This one might surprise at all, but I'm going to go with Dak Prescott. Just because Aaron Rodgers, I've been saying that he's on a decline, and I think that the fact that Green Bay failed to surround him with any talent whatsoever, he struggled last season. We already saw him in decline last season, and that was with the number 1 wide receiver. Devontae Adams is still there, but Aaron Rodgers is a year older. His defense won't be nearly as good as it was last year. They won't have that unpredictability factor in their offense this coming season. I just kind of see everything going downhill for Aaron Rodgers. And then you take into account the whole Jordan Love dynamic. We don't know what that's going to do to the locker room. We don't know how Aaron Rodgers is supposed to feel about it. Yeah, there's reports talking about, oh, he reached out to Jordan Love and sent him an encouraging text or whatever on draft night, but that's what he's supposed to do.
Right.
I don't know. I don't even have Green Bay winning the division. And that's how bad I think it's going to hit Green Bay this upcoming season. Aaron Rodgers, he's still a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's still, talent-wise, a top 5 quarterback in NFL history. This season, with him getting older, with almost no talent around him, his offensive line got worse. We all talked about it too on the show. They were a very overrated 13-3 team. When in reality, they should have been a 10-6 team, a 9-7 team. I just don't see many things going right for Green Bay. I don't even have them making the playoffs. To answer your question, Dak or Aaron Rodgers, I'm going with Dak Prescott.
See, the question was Dak versus Aaron Rodgers. I like what you have to say. I think it's very close between Dak Prescott and Aaron Rodgers, but here's the thing that I feel like people are sleeping on with Aaron Rodgers. You talk about the new scenario, Matt LaFleur. I'm sorry, I'm not supposed to say it like that. But Matt LaFleur, he had the bottom 5 offense in the NFL as the offensive coordinator for Tennessee before getting hired in Green Bay as the head coach. Yes, I understand Aaron Rodgers was part of the reason that Mike McCarthy was gone as the head coach. But let's not talk about the scenarios for this upcoming season and last season and have that be the reason that Aaron Rodgers is behind Dak Prescott. Because remember, the scenario that we're presenting for this is a completely isolated scenario. Everything else is equal. Same head coach, same supporting cast. All else is equal. Who's going to be better for an entire season? You have to bring in chemistry to account. And that's where I would give Dak Prescott the nod, because Aaron Rodgers does bad things for locker rooms, whereas Dak Prescott does good things. But the talent, the ability to throw the football, the pre-snap reads, and the rerouting of wide receivers, I give the nod completely to Aaron Rodgers. Anything that involves throwing the football, I have to give to Aaron Rodgers. He's won far more games in the playoffs and he's won a Super Bowl. I think people are putting too much stake in the fact that you brought up great points that they're going towards running the football. Matt LaFleur, they were a faulty 13-3 team last year. Aaron Rodgers just found a way to win. That's more than we could say for Dak Prescott. He had those video game numbers you were talking about. They went 8-8. That's the difference between Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott. Who had the better supporting cast this year?
Oh, Dak.
Exactly.
Easily.
And because of that, Aaron Rodgers still able to find ways to win, whereas Dak didn't. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. I don't like making this argument, but I do think if right now, I understand he's in decline. I think it's very close, but right now I'm taking Aaron Rodgers for a 16-game season over Dak. Let's move on now to the third quarterback we're going to talk about. This one, really controversial. How about Matt Ryan versus Dak Prescott? Calvin, let's go to you. Who would you take for a 16-game season starting tomorrow?
All right, believe me when I say this, I'm taking Matt Ryan over Dak Prescott. He passes the eye test. He puts up a higher test score than Dak Prescott just because I'm not even taking into account the fact that he's winning MVP. He has better numbers. He's always been a part of an explosive offense since coming into the league. He's been a part of a Super Bowl team. I understand that they choked, being up by 25 points. There's so much blame to go around, and Matt Ryan definitely deserves a huge chunk of that blame. Matt Ryan's long been an underrated quarterback in football, and I know we've been blasting him, for finishing one spot ahead of Russ on the Pro Football Focus All-Decade team, but when you compare the two, I just don't think that Dak is better than Matt Ryan in any particular category, maybe aside from running. But aside from that, I think as a pure pocket passer, as a quarterback, Matt Ryan's a better quarterback. That's just the way I see it, and I call it the way I see it. I understand that he's failed miserably in big time games and playoff games with high stakes. He's choked, but I've seen so much more from him. I don't think he's in decline yet. Last year, second half of the season, Falcons went like 7-1 or like 6-2.
How'd they start last year?
They started poorly. It was terrible.
Why didn't they make the playoffs then?
Okay, well, they're playing in the loaded NFC. Their division's a lot tougher than Dallas's.
It was last year.
I'm still going to change my answer. I'm still on Matt Ryan. It's real close though. It's real close. Matt Ryan, Dak Prescott. What Dak Prescott does have on his side is youth. Dak Prescott might be a better leader. He's mobile. He's more athletic. But aside from that, Matt Ryan trumps him in almost everything else.
Once again, I do think that is close. I'm a guy that always talks about the locker room, and I talk about the impact that you have. Because remember, when I want a quarterback to start my own franchise, I want a guy that's going to rally the troops that everyone's going to be able to believe in. When you talk about Matt Ryan, you're talking about a guy that even if you're up 25 points in the Super Bowl, you're not going to feel comfortable being on his team. We know Dak Prescott is great at handing the football off, which is, he would have been just fine in the Super Bowl had he been up 25 points, 28-3, handing the football off to whoever it might be. Whereas Matt Ryan continued throwing the ball. I understand that's offensive coordinator's fault as well. Quarterbacks can check out of that. Matt Ryan did. Great quarterbacks like Drew Brees, like Russell Wilson, like Patrick Mahomes would have checked out of those scenarios. Tom Brady would have checked out of those scenarios. Matt Ryan didn't. Even when everything else lined up with the offensive coordinator, a head coach, great offense for the year, they weren't in close games in those playoffs. They were blowing teams out. When the rubber hit the road, even when they were up 25 points, it didn't go well. They ended up losing that Super Bowl. And so what are you telling your locker room when you have that guy calling your shots? Even up 25 points in the one Super Bowl that he ever played in, he ended up losing that ball game. That was the pinnacle. That was the peak of his career. Whereas Dak, I understand we're only talking about one season, but we haven't seen the best yet from Dak Prescott, whereas we have from Matt Ryan. And we know the best from Matt Ryan isn't even good enough to win a Super Bowl, went up 25 points. Whereas with Dak Prescott, it's a guy we haven't seen the best from him yet. You can sell a locker room on him. You can get a whole locker room to believe in him. That's why I say for one season, I would definitely go Dak over Matt Ryan. But it is very close. That was episode 1 of Roster Rotisserie. We compared 3 quarterbacks to Dak Prescott, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Matt Ryan for one season, 16 games. Who would you take between them and Dak Prescott? Let us know in the comment section below. Thanks again, Steezy A. Smith. Go show some love to his channel. Subscribe to him. He posts weekly videos. They're extremely good. He knows so much NBA basketball, way more than me, and he always posts videos about it. Go check him out right now. As always, go Hawks.